Karen,
Hello.
welcome to Jump from the Sea.
Thank you.
This is like a new show this year.
Yeah?
I mean, you have been in Vegas like a
Yeah.
few times already, but
I have.
you are our gem, our
I-
creative gem.
I wanted to look the part.
And I can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough for that color, which is really matched.
You know, we're
like,
creatives. We've got to, if you're going to do it, do it.
That's good. I like the mentality. I like that kind of mindset. Hey, look, so here's like what we're gonna do is like seven question, like the 7 C's,
Yeah.
kind of like the transatlantic formats.
Yep.
And as I say to you, like off record, like keep it like very casual. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's like there are no cameras right now. Nobody's watching.
Except everybody's watching, like everything in the
Everybody's
world. Yes, exactly. I just want to first applaud you for the ability to use so many nautical metaphors and references.
Oh, thank you.
It's a true art form. I was genuinely impressed.
Thank you so much. I love metaphors. I love
Yeah.
metaphors. And like, what happened is like, because when I write, I can be truly myself and
Yeah.
use all this kind of like, rhetorical, like, construct without having to think that my accent is getting in the way.
Yeah.
Then when I speak is a different thing because there are words that I can't even pronounce because of the accent. The accent get always in the way, which I told you, like, this word, pearl.
Yeah.
And I
I
say
think
to
it sounds
myself,
great with your accent,
Yeah,
though. I think
I
you
don't
should
know.
lean into it.
Okay, let's go
All right.
with the first question.
Okay,
so
hit me.
you are on the evolution and creative use of data at London International Awards.
Yes,
This
I
is
am.
the 4th-year anniversary, so it's a big deal for Leah. Now, last May, Blackpink Rosé shut down Las Vegas Strip for a music video, Messy. It was a music video that was featuring scene from the Formula One movie with Brad Pitt. Now, labels and artists often use data coming from music video to shape marketing campaign and to have like different creative directions. Now, if you were to shoot a music video about London International Awards, and you know what's like to be here,
Yes,
you know
I do.
what's like
Yeah.
to be immersed in this kind of awards. And then if you were to grab this data from this music video, who would you give it? Who would be your audience?
Who would the audience be? Well, first of all, if I got to shut down the strip and walk down it, I would share it with everyone because that would be amazing. And I would want the world to see that. I think one of the things I love so much about this show is the Liaisons program. So the fact that they bring young talent here to Vegas as we're doing the judging and they get to sit in on the jury rooms and hear the conversation. I mean, it's such a unique experience. And I think being able to continue giving back to the next generation, because without that, what's the point? And the thing I love about evolution and creative use of data in terms of the category and judging is evolution is really about things that make you rethink what our industry does. It's not about campaigns, it's not
Right.
about technology, it's truly what is evolutionary in terms of where we're going. And creative use of data, I mean, data is just information, and it's how you use that in an interesting way. So I think Leah's, it would be a really interesting set of data to share with young talent to say, like,
Yeah.
this is what the senior leaders are talking about, but also this is how they have a good time when they're out of the office. Because I think it's really fun to be able to come here, talk about the work at this level that we don't normally get to do, but do it in a place like Vegas where we are quite literally and figuratively away from the real world, where we can just be here, just to spend our responsibilities and our real lives for a minute and just focus on the work and imagine sort of what we can do next. And I feel like that could be something really powerful in terms of the insights that you would get from
Definitely.
everyone's collective, but then also individual
And
experiences.
as a bonus, I think if you were to shut down the old strip, you could always bring like all the people from the liaisons.
Yeah.
Into
I mean,
the
can you
street.
imagine? We just like marched out. It would be amazing. I think we should do it. Where's Barbara?
Okay, look, second question. There is a quote from Salman Rushdie that has been lodged in my mind for a while. And the quote is this. He say, this may be the course of the human race. Not that we are different from each other, but that we are so alike. So in the world of advertising, it feels like we are trapped in a bubble. And this bubble is down deep in the ocean. Now a school of first swimming together in the same currents, right? Like, do we ever truly choose our direction? You think, or do you think that we stay within this bubble? Do you think that if we are immersed in these seas, do we have the ability to come up to the surface and go on a different path, or we are damned and doomed to stay down there? Because some days it feels like that there is no way to leave this bubble, and we are so alike.
Yeah.
We are so alike.
Yeah, but that's also what makes us beautiful. I guess the answer to that is, do you believe we're in a simulation or not?
Well, my answer would be, I do believe that we are in a simulation act.
Yeah, in which case then no, we're not in control of anything. And we're just being played by the person who's in charge of the game. I think one of the things that makes us incredible as humans is that we are so alike. And I think people forget that. And I think it's why we're in such a divisive world right now, because a lot of people need to be reminded about that shared humanity. But at the same time, what makes us incredible is how different we are. And we do lose sight of that. And as an industry, it's so interesting because we have things like best practices and trends, and we look at the winners of award shows and we try to emulate them, and we herald best practices and case studies, and we do swim behind one another and in the same lane. Yet the things that we truly celebrate, or we hold up and we want to emulate, are the ones that do something different because it's true to them. And I've actually been thinking a lot about just human nature and teenagers. I'm working on a big phone company, and so talking about teenagers and how we spend so much of our lives trying to fit in and trying to be like everyone else around us because we feel like that's the power. But the real superpower is being different, as long as it's being true to ourselves. And I think as we were talking about before, I've moved around so much in my life as well as in my career. And the thing that I've realized is I've always felt like a bit of an outsider. Even growing up in a really small town in Pennsylvania, I just felt like I didn't fit there. I didn't know why, but I was meant for more or something. And then I moved all around the world. And when I got to London specifically, I really felt like an outsider, and I was really struggling with it. And I was talking to Shaka Sabani, who I know you've had on here, who Big Love for Shaka.
was like our guest.
Yeah, she's incredible. And I was talking to her about this, and she was like, I am a happy outsider. And she really reframed it for me. And I was like, that's such a powerful reframe, this idea of being a happy outsider. And I think as long as it's true to you, but that's where we have to be brave to be able to be different, whether it's work, whether it's ourselves, and then we have to convince other people to brave, especially with work, like in this industry, like getting our clients on board. There's, creative use of data. We depend so much on data now to justify our actions, whereas actually a lot of times the data that you need is your gut instinct to zig when everyone else is zagging. And it's really hard because it's easier to follow where everyone else is going. But a lot of times the most rewarding, or the most thing that's going to matter the most, is going to be doing the thing that's different.
Interesting that you mentioned at the very beginning of your answer, like the simulation theory, because actually it's something that I've studied for like 6 months when I was writing my first novel, because part of the novel takes place in the simulation, like reality. It's funny because when you think about being alike and the simulation theory, there is another theory on the opposite side of the spectrum. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called the egg theory. And this theory, it takes the idea of being alike to the extreme, and it says that there is no one else in this planet but you, and everybody else that you meet along the way is just a replica of yourself. So the reason why if you see someone crying and you feel bad, is because that person that is crying from to you is actually you crying.
It's interesting because we have mirror neurons, right? So we literally feel and we try that on.
Yeah,
and so
it's an extreme theory, and it's a theory founded on a very harsh concept of solitude, because at the end of the day, if there is nobody else but you, then you are here on your own and everybody else is a replica. So it's a very fantastical theory. It's less like rooted in scientific facts, where like the simulation theory is actually rooted in quantum physics. And so it's very interesting, because I think when you take the Salman Rushdie quotes, you can dissect it in so many different ways, and parts of these quotes, portion of this quote, like take you to like these theories. Okay, so third question. Your bio reads, at 29, Carren founded Analog Folk Portland, becoming the first and only female founding partner in AF's global network. Now, I believe, as Joan Didion once said, that the arrangement of words matter. If you were to steer that sentence in water, let it settle, and distill it to its essence, what remains most important to you? The age, the fact that at 29 you achieved a milestone, or the fact that you were the first female to achieve that milestone, or the fact that you just founded a company?
So first and foremost, always that I founded the company. The thing that you did, not who you were or the identity attached to it. But honestly, it's all of them. And I don't want it to be all of them. I hate that we're in a world of isms, as we call them. And I've always said, I don't want to be the best female CCO. I want to be the best CCO, full stop. But unfortunately, we still are in a world where those things matter. And we're also in a world where actually it's kind of uncool to talk about them right now. And the thing about the at 29 thing is ageism is one of those weird paradoxical things that it goes both ways. You're too young, then you're too old. I'm like, at what point was I the right age? I missed it. Like, I wish somebody would have told me that, like, no, you're the right age. This is the exact right age that you're supposed to be something. And then I think, the female part, I've been, in the history of my career, especially in sort of a male-dominated industry, especially within creative, in a lot of rooms where I was the only one. It still is the case today, and we've made so much progress. But actually, this year, around April, Campaign Magazine in the UK did a podcast called What Happened to the Progress in Female Creative Leadership. And it was one of those podcasts that you listen to where you feel extremely seen and like very exhausted. And it was coming off the back of the IPA census, which showed that for the past 2 years, female creative leadership is in decline. And it's just so frustrating, because you're like, I thought we got past this. Like, I thought we were starting to finally make progress. And there's so many reasons for that. But then there's also the act of going out on a limb and starting a company. Or I didn't start the company, I helped found an office for the company. And I think the reason I feel like they're all important is not to be like, oh my gosh, aren't I so great? But what I've realized throughout my career is I've struggled with certain things, and it's been someone else's story that they've either done something or overcome something that's really helped me get my own self-belief. And so if there's one person, regardless of their age or regardless of their gender or regardless of their need for stability within their status, that hears that and thinks she did it, maybe I can do it, then I think it's worthwhile. And I think it says a lot about what people are capable of despite the parameters of what we think stereotypically somebody should do at that point.
When you look back at that milestone, do you think that that part of your life helped you define who you are today, or it was just like a stepping stone to literally like achieve like such a great milestone within the advertising business, like at 29? Do you think that it truly define you? It's like it still chase you around, or it's just like it was just like one fragment, one portion of your career, and you just move on?
I think both.
Both.
I think it was a moment in time, but I have a mantra, which is do hard things.
Right.
Because if you do hard things, you can do hard things.
Right.
And this year, that for me was things like I did a thing called the 3 Peaks Challenge, where I climbed the 3 tallest peaks in the UK
Right.
in 24 hours. That moment in time, the reason that's
That's
still
impressive,
so,
by the way. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I didn't know if I could do it, and that's why I wanted
Which
to do
are
it.
these peaks?
Oh my gosh. It's Scarfell Pike,
Okay.
Snowdon,
Okay.
and Ben Nevis.
Okay.
So there's one, Scotland, England, and
Is it free
Wales.
climbing?
No. It's just a hike.
Hike,
just a
okay.
hike. It would be way more badass if it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
free climbing. But still, it was one of those things where I didn't fully know if I could do it. And the reason I did the opening the analog book office was because I didn't know if I could do it. And I realized so many of the sort of foundational moments of my career,
Right.
not just my career, my life, have been moments where I've done something because I didn't know if I could do it, and I wanted to see if I could. And I think part of that comes from actually the more foundational moment in my life, which is actually I love a paradox. The beautiful thing of childhood trauma, my mom passed away when I was really young, is that at the time, it was seemingly the worst possible thing that could happen to me. But I did it, and I got through it, and I thrived because of it. And so if I could do that, then I could do this other thing, and then I could do this other thing. And if I could open that office then I can do this next thing.
course.
And it's just all these little moments for me, not for the world, that's like, if I could do that, I could do this next thing.
Yeah, I think like that's a good mindset, and it's also like work very much short term. It's connected to, for instance, one thing I do to set up like my day. You work out, I work out.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, I try always to do one exercise that I really hate
Yeah.
and do it. And
For me, that would be Bulgarian split
right,
squats.
say right. Okay, like for me, squats.
Yeah.
I hate squats,
Yeah,
but eventually, if you do it religiously, like once a day, every morning, you end up loving it.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the next exercise that you hate the most. And I think that's help you set up like kind of the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And you say it's like, if I woke up this early in the morning to do something that I truly hate, I think I can achieve a lot more throughout my day.
Yeah.
And it seems like it really works. So your motto of like,
do hard things.
Do hard things.
Yeah.
It's really helpful. And like, for me that in the past couple of years, I've been like truly working as a novelist, like discipline is so important. And do hard things is something that's like is an underlying motto in my day. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so leaders are people who take you where you don't want to go. This is a statement that is like the captain of a submarine who is responsible for its operation, safety, and mission. Leaders are sometimes required to navigate against the currents. As a founder and leader, when was the last time that you made such a maneuver, or pivot, or change course, and you took people somewhere where they didn't want to go?
I love this question,
Thank you.
by the way. First of all, because I am an aspiring pirate.
Are you aspiring pirate?
I am an aspiring pirate.
How do you
yes.
aspire to be a pirate?
I feel like you definitely channel very good pirate vibes. We should go over to Treasure Island later.
Treasure.
Yes. No, I actually do genuinely joke all the time. I'm obsessed with water. I used to live in a houseboat. I had a boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think I promise I'm answering your question with this.
No, of course. No,
so when I'm in Cannes or anytime I'm near water, I always ask people if they could steal any of the boats we're looking at, how they would do it. And then I have my own sort of approach, which is in Cannes there's a pizza boat, and you can order a pizza delivery to your boat. And so
Right.
I would order the pizza to the land, and then as the guy comes up, I would pull him off the boat as he goes to hand me the pizza. He'd be on land, I'd be on his boat, and then I would go from smaller boat to bigger boat, and it's just all the way there.
Right.
And the reason I do this is because actually you can learn quite a lot about someone
Right.
depending on how they would pirate. Because for me, what you can learn
Right.
is that I believe in taking a disadvantage. I'm on land, you're on a boat,
Right.
and turning it into an advantage.
Right.
Now I have your boat, and now you're on land.
Right.
But I'm also quite strategic, and I think 3 steps ahead.
Right.
Some people you can learn, are they imaginative?
Mm-hmm.
Are they, I just want the biggest, fastest boat? Or are they timid? Are they like, I don't want to get caught? Why would I? Because I think as a leader, if you're a good leader, you're kind of always taking people where they don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're playing it safe. And so a lot of times, that's the intent of being a leader, is being able to actually help guide people to places that are new frontiers or uncomfortable. But you need to understand the people that you're leading. You need to understand how to bring them on that journey with you.
Okay.
Because I think the best leaders are not the ones who just say, this is where we're going, get on the train and be a part of it. I think that people need to feel the collective sort of, at least for me as a leader, we are we're gonna have to make a pivot or, change course or whatever it might be. And I think right now, actually, we're navigating as the world, as the industry, more change probably than we ever have. The velocity of speed in which things are changing technologically, the state of, the socioeconomic climate. And so even just at our agency, we've been going through a lot of changes. We've had 2 CEO changes, and with that always comes change. And so I think I always believe in a level of realism with optimism.
Right.
I don't ever believe in trying to spin some sort of false narrative,
Right.
and I'm really transparent with people. But I also believe in helping them understand why this is good for us. Right now, I actually, because of where we are in the world and as an agency, I open every single presentation, whether it's our department meeting, company meetings, with the Charles Darwin quote about change, that it is not the strongest or the most intelligent in the species, it's the most
I think
adaptable to
for
change.
corporate, it's a very tough moment though.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, of course, like the economy, it is what it is, but also the ways big agencies have merged and shuffle cultures, and at the same time let hundreds of people go, and it's difficult. I think these are people's lives, so I think that there is a lot of pressure at the very top. And this pressure and discontent, more often than not, trickle down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I think to be a leader right now, it's tough and it's demanding, and I think it's it requires a lot of confidence, because I think when you take people to where they don't want to go, particularly in this time in our industry, it can be a very risky journey.
Yeah.
Because you're dragging along discontent and frustration and and people's lives at the end of the day, because you are responsible for other people's lives. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, is not taking that responsibility lightly.
Of
And I
course.
think a lot of people, at least that I know in leadership positions,
Right.
especially now, don't take it lightly. We understand that the decisions we make have real world consequences on real lives. But I remember when I first opened the analog office, I had a friend and a mentor who said to me, decision with conviction. That's what people need out of a leader. You make a decision and you go in a
Right.
direction, but then you own it whenever it's not the right direction. And I've always held that close, because I do think, especially in times like now, in being indecisive, and that doesn't mean being brash, it doesn't mean being informed. You always need to make calculated decisions, but you need to be the one who's willing to make the hard decision,
Right.
and give people the direction.
Of course. Hey, Martin Scorsese once say about dreams. Let's talk about dreams.
Love dreams.
Dreams always come up behind you, and they're never in front of your eyes. They sneak up on you. They never about, now imagine me on a transatlantic ship and all this kind of stuff. But they're always very subtle and secret, and they're hidden. They take a path that is not really common. So you had to use a lot of energy to listen to them. You truly need to listen to them, otherwise they just pass you by. if dreams are like quiet octopuses gliding behind us in the dark waters, how do you ever know when to turn around and let these amazing fish and tentacles pull you in? So this is a metaphor to say, how do you know when it's time to listen and you have to really go with it? Because I think, there is a whole like a mythology and like, fiction and like, arguments about like dreams and books be written, but they are very particular. And I think like most of the time they pass you by and like, you dream at night and then the dream disappear, or you have a dream and you just like discharge it and like, you sabotage your own dream, and like, you abandon it because it's not the right time. But how do you actually listen to a dream talking to you?
So one of the things that I think is such a fascinating phenomenon is, have you ever thought about how when you're sitting somewhere, you can feel someone looking at you?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't that wild?
It's actually scientifically proven.
Exactly.
And have you ever played this game with yourself where, so they say that if you stare at someone's shoulders with enough intensity and you really put your mind to it, this person within like 30 seconds will turn around.
Yeah.
Because it will feel that someone is watching.
Exactly. And so I think you can feel it. I think you can feel when it's time to follow a dream. And there's not, so I have an executive coach who's a really good friend. And every sort of thing that I've done in my career, doors have opened and I've charged through them. That's what she said to me. But I think what I realize is the thing that we don't do enough is we don't, I think, get quiet enough to actually listen to ourselves. We try to listen to the world, or we look for rational reasons, or
it's all noise.
It's all noise, because you can feel it. Know. I believe you know. I believe our gut instincts are. They've proven there's a brain in our gut as much as our brain as well. It's another scientific thing. I love this. I love to nerd out on science stuff. I love that you do too. And so I think it's about getting quiet and not trying to look for. So often we look for confirmation bias that it's the right dream for us, or we look for, and because it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Like if a dream's not scary, is it even a dream? Yeah. And I think I love the word delusional. I think I'm a little delusional, and I see it as a compliment. And
it's like a few years ago I read the Chronicles by Bob Dylan, and is it like is a journey like coming up as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And he said in the Chronicle that there was a precise time in his life where he felt that destiny was looking at him and him only. And in that precise moment, he foresaw everything that would happen to him in the future. And it was a very brief moment of clarity, almost like if you are walking on a path and you turn around and you see destiny looking at you, and you have just like a few fragments of time to realize what will follow up. And talk about this moment as if it was like, of course, kind of magical. At the same time, also like very fragmenting, because like the brain in your guts like take you to places that are extremely like remarkable but unbelievable to you.
Yeah.
So all these things are like very fascinating.
Yeah, and I think everyone has it. Everyone feels it. Some people seem like they dream bigger than others, but I don't think that's true. I think some people just don't get quiet enough to listen to themselves, or they don't follow what they're listening to because life gets in the way.
Right.
Like I said, that girl from that very small town, I knew I was meant for more. I didn't know why. I could just feel it.
Right.
And I mean, I would have never dreamed that I would be sitting here with you today, that I would have lived in all these places and done all these things. I just knew one thing after another was what I
Right.
was supposed to be doing.
Awesome. There is an approach in writing that spans literature and music and is known as front-loading emotion. Kendrick Lamar is one of the creative who used this approach, spending significant time crafting his lyrics before recordings. Now, when you think about this approach, it should be taken more seriously in our business because more often than not in our business we do not lead with emotions, but we lead only with the brain and the logic part of our brain. But the true question is, in a fast-paced instant gratification culture like advertising, is there truly a space for this kind of approach, or it only can happen like rarely and in a different and in a particular environment? So you work in a corporation, right? Like
Yeah.
you know, like is it and I was like one of my latest agency was like I was a VML, which is part of WPP, like you know, huge corporation again, like and I could tell that this approach was very very hard to apply to anything.
Yeah.
Like you know, you lead with in this kind of environment, you tend to lead with logic and you forget the emotions. You forget what makes these business like beautifully delusional and unpredictable.
Yeah. I think so. Emotion as creatives is and will always be the most powerful tool that we
Right.
have in our work, but also as leaders.
But is
Whether-
there a space in our work to do
I
that?
think there has to be.
There has
I
to
think
be.
there has to be. And I mean, as we were saying before, I've always been on the technology side
Right.
of this industry. So creativity and technology
Right.
coming together. And that becomes even more rational and logical and
Right.
functional. But I still think at the end of the day, we are human beings and emotion is what makes us connect to something.
Right.
And actually, front-loaded emotion is all about context and scene setting and immediate hook. And I would argue that actually, given the limited time that we have now, it's even more important. So, for example, I'm a writer, you're a writer, words are powerful, I think they carry energy. And one of my favorite quotes is, time is the only currency we spend without knowing the balance. Now imagine you open something with that. You immediately get this feeling of the preciousness of time, you can't reverse time, the preciousness of life. It gives you urgency, it gives you a drive for purpose, all these things that would take you so much more time to explain and make someone feel. And so whether you're in TikTok with a 3-second hook or in YouTube with a 10 to 20 minute sort of best practice, or if you're leading your team and doing a presentation, that's one of the, going back to sort of leading people to where they don't want to go. I almost always open with a quote or
Right.
something that's emotion, not the facts, not where we're going, but truly
Right.
getting people to understand and go on that journey, because at the end of the day, it's a far more powerful motivator than any sort of information
Right.
that we're going to
I
give
love that
people.
quote of time. I have another quote from, but repeat for me the quotes about the time.
Time is the only currency we spend and don't know the balance.
Okay, I love it. Who is that from?
I don't know, I should
Okay, because I have another quote about
It's really
time
good.
that really got me, and it's a different quote from Tennessee Williams, and he say, "Time is the longest distance between two places."
I love that too.
Yeah, it's a good quote.
I should look up and credit. It's definitely not my quote.
Well-
It's somebody smarter than I's quote.
Okay, last question. The zone of proximal development is defined as the space between what a learner can do without assistance and what they can do with guidance or its collaboration with more capable peers. If we think of it as swimming in the ocean, could it be that sometimes the shallow waters of mild discomfort keep us stuck walking around while only the deep and terrifying waves push us to swim hard enough to reach a new shore? If so, how does this apply to your career? Do you find that to have a guidance could, paradoxically, you love paradox, put you in a more safe zone rather than walking on your own with no guidance and getting hammered, but at the same time developing more confidence and more skills because you just have to do it on your own.
Do it on your own. I think it depends on who you are, is my honest answer. So for me and my career, as we've already talked about, I'm a jump off the deep end kind of girl.
Jump off the deep end. I love
and
that.
I look back at my career and I think most of the pivotal moments we've already talked about,
Right.
most of them have been moments where I've just jumped off the deep end. And I mean, I had no business opening that office at 29
Right.
and doing that, but I did it. And I did it because I actually think what that is talking about is more than just somebody kind of showing you the way or teaching you what
Right.
to do. I think that assistance of a more capable peer can also be in the form of support or belief.
Right.
And that's what I've always had. And so there's another, we've talked about so many theories, and so the Pygmalion effect, which
Yeah.
is the idea that we rise to the expectations of those around
Right.
us. And so arguably the people we choose to spend our
Right.
time with is the most important thing.
Which, by the way, is one of my favorite playwright from George Bernard Shaw.
Yeah.
Pygmalion.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love it.
And even just as a theory, the idea
Right.
that if I expect more of you, you're going to rise to that occasion. Whereas if somebody expects you to be realistic or says, no, it's okay, you don't
Right.
have, then that's what you're going to rise to. So the people you surround yourself with. And I, throughout my career, have been really blessed in that I've had people who've really believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I think that was the kind of support. And so I did it. I'm not discounting I was the one who jumped off the deep end and I made it work and the blood, sweat, and tears. But I believe life is a team sport. I think everything that we do, none of us do anything truly on our own. And I feel like being able to have those people around you who do push you to be or achieve something greater than you even expect or think
Right.
of yourself, I think is ultimately, at least for me in my career, has been what I think has been that catalyst.
Awesome.
And the idea of I worked with Nike for 10 years and having that proximity to sort of pro athletes, going back to delusional, this idea of audacious ambitions, that also has an effect. And I feel like that's always pushed me to achieve more or try something a little crazier or delusional. And then I do one and then another and another, and you just go from there. So yeah,
Awesome.
I think that's it.
Well, a beautiful ending. I mean, can't thank you enough for being part of Gem from the Sea, and
Love
you're such
it.
a gem.
Thank
So
you.
it's
So are you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.